Welcome back to Santa's Little Stitches. Today we are adding a sweet new friend to our holiday collection, a gingerbread man, straight from Santa's kitchen. For this project, you'll need a 32 needle and 22 needle circular knitting machine, a 6 needle I-cord machine, hot glue gun, your basic kit. The yarn I'm using is Big Twist Toffee, white, cerulean blue, and speckled brights. The other supplies you need are fiberfill, hot glue, felt eyes, and a felt patch. Let's get started with the body. Using the 32 needle machine, cast on and knit 20 rows with the color toffee. When changing colors, tie the tails in a half knot. We'll finish the knot in the next step. Change to blue and knit 14 rows. Change back to toffee and knit 8 rows. Change to white for 2 rows. Change to toffee for 12 rows. Back to white for 2 rows. Then to toffee for another 8 rows. Change to blue for 14 rows. And then back to toffee for 20 rows. At the end of this 20 rows, you can bind off the machine. After the tube is off the machine, turn it inside out and finish securing all of the knots. Then trim all of the tails. Fold the tube in half, matching wrong sides. Cinch both ends closed and secure with a knot. Save those tails for later on. Then turn the tube inside out. Stuff with polyfill. Once the tube is full, we'll add a drawstring to the open end to close it up. I'm adding the drawstring 6 rows up from the white stripe and I'm going through one leg of every stitch, going all the way around. Once the drawstring is added, you can cinch the end closed, add more polyfill if you need, secure with a knot, and leave the long tails because we're going to use that to add the leg separation. So using one of the tails, I'm going 4 rows down from the blue section, right where that color jog line is or seam. And I'm coming out directly on the opposite side, 4 rows down from the blue section. Then I'll use the other tail and I'll go through the same hole, but this time in the opposite direction. So be careful not to snag that other tail that we just weaved through. I'm coming out in the exact same location that I went through before. And then pull on both ends and it'll snug up that leg separation. Then all I need to do is tie a knot and bury the tails. Next, we'll add the drawstring for the head. I'm going through one stitch of the top row of the blue, and then directly above that, I'll go through the brown stitch. And in this case, I've got one leg blue, one leg brown. Then in the next column over, go through the next blue stitch. Directly above, go through the brown stitch. And we're just going to alternate between the blue and the brown through every column of stitches. And you'll notice that as I go through the top brown stitch, I'm also going directly into the next blue stitch. This saves just an extra step of having to pull the yarn through once instead of twice. So continue to do this all the way around. Once you reach the beginning, crisscross the ends and pull both ends. And this will cinch up that drawstring. Now you can adjust the stitches a little bit if you need to, and then secure with a knot and bury those tails. When that's finished, set the piece aside and we'll start working on the arms. For the arms, I'm using the 22 needle machine. I'm going to cast on with blue for 10 rows. Change to white for 2 rows. And then change to toffee for 3 rows. And you'll notice I'm making the knots on the machine. These knots will be hidden in the next step. Don't forget to make 2 arms. To assemble the arms, we'll start by cinching the toffee end closed. This is the, I guess you could say the hand end of the arm. I'll just cinch it closed and then secure with a knot. Fold the tube in half and place that color change seam right in the middle. Find a column of stitches that opens to the left on the top side and a column of stitches that opens to the left on the bottom. Pick up the first bar on the top side and then the first 2 bars on the bottom side. Then alternate between the top and the bottom sides, picking up 2 bars at a time. This will align the stripes properly from end to end. So continue to pick up 2 bars on the top, 2 bars on the bottom, all the way to the opposite end. Before cinching closed, add a small amount of polyfill. Cinch the seam closed and stretch that seam. Then cinch the blue end closed. Tie the tails together and bury the toffee colored yarn. Then repeat the process for the other arm. Next, we'll sew the arms to the body. Center the arm along the side of the body or slightly forward. I am stitching this using the mattress stitch and I'm going 2 rows down from the neckline. And I'm just mattress stitching the arm to the body along the top edge of the arm. When I finish the top edge, I'll go down the side, across the arm, up the other side of the arm, and then finish off the top edge. As I'm stitching this together, before I turn, I will cinch that yarn tail to remove the slack. And then when I do this part of the arm, the underneath the arm, I'm not stitching right at the armpit. I'm going down towards the middle of the arm. This will help keep the arm from going straight out. And then I'll do the other side of the arm, cinch it before going to the top section where I'll just finish off with a couple of stitches. I go through all of the stitches along the top edge. I'm not going to secure that arm just yet. I'm going to work on the other arm first. So I ended up not liking how I placed that arm, so I ended up taking it out and restitching it in a different position. And then once I restitch that down, I will start on the other arm. And I'm going through the exact same process. I will work along the top edge and then move to the side of the arm. I'll work along the bottom edge, or really the middle of the arm, and then up the back side of the arm, and then finish off the top edge. Now that I have both arms stitched on, I'm just double checking to make sure that the arms are the same distance from the center line, and of course one wasn't, so I will redo this arm. So after restitching that arm, I think I finally have it where it looks good, and now I'm just going to finish off and secure both arms in place. I'll tie a knot on the underside of the arm and weave in the tails. And I'll do that on both sides. And we finally have it. Here is our little gingerbread man with his arms sewn on, and they appear to be in the right position this time. I'm happy with it. And now we can move on to making the scarf. I'm using the 6 needle machine with the Speckled Brights yarn, and I'm just going to knit until I get at least 24 inches off the machine. And then what I'll do is I'll cut the the I-cord off the machine. Make sure I've got my 24 inches. Then what I'll do is secure one end. I'll pull out the little bits, run the tail through all of the live stitches, and create a knot. And then I'll measure out my 24 inches so I know where to cut and secure the opposite end. I'll do the same thing. I'll pull out the bits and run the tail through all of the live stitches. Now I'll add some fringe to the end, and I'm just kind of measuring out about 6 inches in length, and I'll use 4 strands on each end. I'll fold the strands in half, insert my hook into the end of the scarf, grab that loop and pull it through, and then grab all of the ends and pull those through. I'm also grabbing the tail from the scarf itself, and I'm just knotting that inside the fringe as well. And I'll do the same on the opposite end. Then I'll hold the two ends together to trim them to the same length. To place it around the neck, I'll fold it in half and pull the tails through and just kind of snug it up a little bit. And we have our scarf. Now it's time to add the finishing touches. The first thing I do is add the eyes to the face. The eyes that I'm using are 3/4 of an inch, and I place them on the face. I'm trying to center it kind of on the head, and I take my time doing this. Once I have it where I want it, I will use these pins as guides so that when I take the eye off and apply hot glue to the back of the eye, I know exactly where I need to place the eye because there's no wiggle room when it comes to the hot glue. So after placing the eyes on, I'll press them down just for a little bit, and then I'll move on to the snowflake. The snowflake I'm adding in the center, and I'm placing it a little more towards the scarf end versus the bottom end. And again, I'm using another pin as a guide to where I want to place it. The snowflake is 1 5/8 inches tall. Once that's finished, I can go ahead and add the stitching for the mouth. To stitch the mouth, I start on the side and I come out on the corner of one of the eyes and go over to the other corner of the eye and then add the little detail to give him a little smiley face. I kind of fuss with it a little bit and then secure with a knot and bury the tails. I hope you enjoyed the gingerbread video. Stay tuned for the next character, Christmas Angel, from the Santa's Little Stitches series. A pattern will be available after the last video has posted. The pattern will include all the characters from Santa's Little Stitches. Thanks for watching.